This is a lesson on the unit circle. So first of all, it is a unit circle because the radius is equal to 1. This particular one, although it's not perfectly lined up, each of these boxes represents a distance of about 0.1. So there are 10 of them to get to the outside edge of the circle. We're looking at coordinates along the outside edge here. This would be 1, 0. This would be 0, 1. This would be -1, 0. And this would be 0, -1. Now, there are other coordinates that we will get to, but we're going to start with just kind of getting to different locations here. So in a previous lesson, you should have learned about radians. So pi radians is equal to 180 degrees. So we start at 1, 0, and we rotate to pi would put us there. 2 pi would be all the way around. 3 pi, we'd stop here as 1 pi. We'd stop here as 2 pi, 3 pi, and so on. So even pi here, odd pi over there. Negative would be in the clockwise direction. So here's -1 pi. Here's -2 pi, and so on. If we wanted to go 90 degrees, that's the same as pi over 2. So we can go 1 pi over 2 would put me over here. 3 pi over 2 would be 3 90-degree turns. 7 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pi over 2 would lay me down at the bottom of the circle and things like that. So locating, different lesson, but that was just a quick recap. So let's talk about the coordinates of each of these first quadrant points. So I do have it color-coded. If we end up at a 60-degree angle here, the coordinates of that point are 1/2, √3/2. Those are exact values. If we go to a 45-degree angle, aka pi over 4, we're at that middle one. The coordinates are probably the one that's easiest to remember, √2/2 and √2/2. And if we go to a pi over 6 or 30-degree angle, we'd be here, and we're looking at √3/2, 1/2. Again, the angles here, this is pi over 3, pi over 4, and pi over 6. Here we're at 0, here we're at pi over 2. And those coordinates are associated with those. Now, if you looked at the other quadrants, you can see that there are color coordinated dots. That one's a little bit off center there. All right, so those coordinates are going to mirror over. These coordinates will mirror over. And these coordinates will mirror over. So basically, I like to look at it as a rectangle. And if you're familiar with the coordinates and the signs of values in those coordinates, you know that quadrant 2 over here will have a negative for the x and a positive for the y. Quadrant 3, both the x and the y are negative. In quadrant 4, the x is positive and the y is negative. So if I went to this point in particular, I'm going to use the same coordinates that I had here, except I'm going to match them up with those signs. So really, it comes down to really memorizing this quadrant and those coordinates and finding the right locations, because then we can do the same thing with our orange points here. And with our purple points, which I'll do in a very light purple so that it doesn't really detract from the writing there. So if I wanted to go to this particular point here, I would know that it matches up with this point here because I can just go straight across and then straight down, and I know the exact coordinates of that point would be identical to this with these signs. So that's going to be negative root 3 over 2, comma, negative 1/2.